Hello friends, today we will discuss the constitutional development of India during British period, British era. So the first of all we will discuss the period between 1773 and 1858. It's the early development era. So what happened? The Regulating Act of 1773 came into force and it established British parliamentary control over East India Company. Then Pitt's India Act came into effect in 1784. It created Board of Control to oversee Indian affairs. Then Charter Act of 1813 came into effect and it expanded British territory, introduced Western education, and then Charter Act of 1833 came into effect. It abolished East India Company's monopoly. Then the second phase came in British Indian history, and that was of reforms and expansion. So during the time period between 1858 and 1909, various reforms took place, and the expansionist policy of Britishers was further extended. So the first of all, Government of India Act came into force in 1858. It transferred power from East India Company to British Crown. Now the British Crown could see the affairs of Indian government right from their Britain. So after the first war of independence, or the rebellion of 1857, the British government took that measure to oversee the functioning of government here right from there. Then Indian Council Act of 1861 came into effect. It introduced representative form of government. And then Indian Civil Services Act came into effect in 1861. It opened, for the first time, it opened civil services to Indians. So now the doors of civil services were open to Indians also. They were opened for Indian also for the first time. And then Ilward Bill came into effect in 1884, and it proposed Indian judges jurisdiction over Europeans. So before that bill, that Ilward Bill, no Indian judge could make any jurisdiction in cases regarding Europeans. So it was a landmark decision. And then the next topic is nationalist movement and reforms between 1909 and 1935. So during this period, many reforms, many movements, particularly of nationalist nature, took place. So first of all, let's read about Marlowe Minto reform. So it was brought in by Britishers in 1909, and it introduced electoral representation. The more and more demand for electoral representation was made by Indians, and keeping in view this demand, this bill, Marlowe Minto Bill or Reform Bill, was introduced in British Parliament in India. And then Government of India Act came into force in 1919. It further expanded provincial autonomy. Now somewhat autonomy was given to the provincial governments of different provinces. So it was a welcome step, and most of the provinces welcomed this this Government of India Act of 1919. So then to to see the progress of representative form of government there in India, Simon Commission was sent to India, and first it was boycotted by Indians. So it was the most controversial commission, but somehow it gave its report in 1927, and it recommended constitutional reforms. So then, Government of India Act of 1935, long awaited act, came into effect, and it established federal structure of governance. Then the next topic is road to independence, and that road lie between 1935 and 1947. So this time period paved the way for Indian independence. So this era leads to Indian independence. So the first landmark decision was August Offer, which came into effect in 1940, and it proposed dominion status to Indians. So still the talk of complete independence to Indian was a far cry. Then came Cripps Mission in 1942, and it was a failed attempt at constitutional settlement. So it could not settle the constitutional lacuna, you may say, or the constitutional lacuna, you may say, properly. So it was a failed mission after all. And then came Cabinet Mission Plan in 1946, and it proposed federal structure. And finally, in 1947, Indian Independence Act came into effect, and by this act, the power was transferred to India and Pakistan, and the two separate nations came into existence. So that's the journey of Indian constitutional development during British era. Now let's discuss key figures who were detrimental in bringing these constitutional reforms during British era. The first one and the most important person was Warren Hastings, then Lord Curzon, then our father of the nation Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Now let's discuss important documents regarding this constitutional journey of ours during British India. The first one was the Regulating Act of 1773, then the Government of India Act of 1858, then the Indian Council Act of 1861, and then Montesquieu Chelmsford Report of 1918, and last but not least, the Government of India Act of 1935. So that's the whole process or the whole journey of Indian constitutional development during British era.